Hey everybody, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. I'm doing rapid fire videos this weekend, probably more than I've gotten out in a while. But I find this very interesting, and so I wanted to share this with you all. Earlier this morning, I did a video talking about the panic buying that is happening in Shanghai. The fact that those residents who have been under lockdown for some time now are really starting to break. They're really starting to push against the CCP and risk everything. When you try to go against the CCP, I mean, they can completely just wipe you off the map, so to say. And people have nothing else to lose, and so they're at a breaking point. Well, it seems like there's more to this now because they're starting to lock down more cities. So Guangzhou, which has, I think, something like 16 million people, is now on the verge of lockdown. Shanghai was, I think, about 26 million people. That was maybe split down the middle in terms of lockdown. And so this is causing major supply chain issues. But again, something is going on over there. And I just want to share with you some footage because I'm not really sure what to make of it. But I do think that in terms of signs of the times, we keep an eye on what's going on because I have the same sort of feeling now that I did when we had the images coming out at the very beginning of the pandemic. They were taking some very drastic measures, and then it was only a couple months later that we started to realize some things here in the U.S. And so let's, without further ado, let me just share with you what I'm finding on Twitter. Again, major things happening over there. So first off, there are a lot of people that are tweeting that instead of just a lot of the medical personnel and regular uniformed police officers that are putting the cities under lockdown, now they're actually rolling out the military police. So I have a whole bunch of footage of this. A lot of them are all armed. And so let's just take a look. That's one. I got another one here where they are all entering into Shanghai. Got a third one here showing the convoys that are rolling in. Some people are questioning, is this martial law? Again, I believe that, I don't know how long the government said that the lockdowns would be for, but they are being extended. And on top of the extension, now they're actually rolling out PLA forces. So very interesting that they're bringing the army into major metropolitan cities now. In terms of what's going on in these cities, well, here's another one. I got a fourth one before I jump into a different topic on what's going on in China. So here you have police officers, obviously, in the pandemic uniforms. And again, they're armed. So this is a change. And you have to ask yourself why, right? Like why? This all seems to be happening, very, very quickly. All these major cities, Shanghai, Jinlin, now Guangzhou. There's some other ones as well. I can't remember the names, but tens of millions of people being locked down in zero COVID policy. It's just something strange is going on. There's some theories that I've heard. Again, it's all speculation. No one really knows. But let me share with you some other things that are happening here. Again, I think that China really is on like a verge of a breaking point here. This happened. I saw some videos of this happening in the very beginning of the pandemic, where you heard people screaming from their hotel rooms because they weren't even allowed to leave their rooms. There were a lot of images of the CCP even putting chains around doors and first floor windows, preventing people from getting out. And again, the very beginning of the pandemic, you had people all screaming out of their windows. And now you're seeing this again in Shanghai, and you're seeing it in other cities as well. And so this commenter says that, let's see here, they've been locked down for about 2 weeks. Again, as I covered in the last video, some are getting food maybe once a week, others less. And so everyone's screaming, we need foods.
半个月了， 我们1单元只收到了1次菜，2、3单元收到了2次菜，现在也没有能买菜的地方，所有的人都在喊没有菜吃，然后
It's absolutely terrible. Here's another one at nighttime. So, as seen on Weibo, Shanghai residents go to their balconies and sing and protest the lack of supplies. And actually, a drone appears and it has a statement: please comply with the restrictions. Control your soul's desire for freedom. Do not open the window or sing. So here's a little drone up here. I think I have another video. Do I have it here? No, I didn't have it here, but same thing. There's another nighttime video, which I don't have the tab pulled up, but it shows all the skyscrapers around Shanghai, and you can just hear people screaming out of their balconies. And again, they're not getting food, and so they're really reaching a breaking point. And as I showed in my morning video today, people are pushing through police barricades and just risking everything because they don't have anything. Again, it makes you wonder, like, why are they being so stringent? Why are they being this hard? Because again, it doesn't really seem, even if you want to control the populace, it doesn't even seem like a very effective strategy, to where you go to the point of even like starving them out, because there's going to be revolt. So like there's something else going on here. Let's see here. A lot of the videos I shared with you again this morning was Shanghai, but I do want to show some things about Guangzhou, about the panic buying and the food shortages. So this official notice from the government of Guangzhou says that they guarantee that the city has sufficient supplies of daily necessities with stable prices, and called on the citizens not to panic. However, what's happening? Well, here's again some videos from Guangzhou. Let me just rewind that one, and you can see that again everything's being picked over. Some other images here: fresh vegetable section in another Guangzhou supermarket. There's still some things on the shelves, but it looks like everything fresh is completely gone. Some more images of other grocery stores in the Guangzhou district. And more pictures. It's pretty much all over the city. And it's because, and I'll add some commentary while this one's going, it's because they're now announcing mandatory testing across the entire city. And so as I said in this morning's video, people are talking in China and they see, what's going on. They see what's going on in Shanghai. They hear about their fellow countrymen actually starving in their own buildings. And so, sometimes proactively, I'm sure people are, running to the stores and getting things. And especially once they're making these mandatory testing requirements, then people definitely are going out to the stores and raiding them. And obviously tensions are very high and there's fighting and things like that. So things seem very, very tense out there. In addition to all the mandatory testing and the lockdowns, there's some other very disturbing things that are happening out there, and the PLA actually being rolled in to control things. Actually, I'm not to that tab yet. Here again is just some more Guangzhou footage of the supermarkets. Again, people are just pretty much wiping them clean. Here, this is something. I don't have the context on. I have very general context on what's happening here. I even debated whether this was true because it just seems so terrible. But this person, this Himalayan News Voices says, basically this is the lockdowns in Shanghai. I can't confirm whether this is Shanghai or not, but these buildings all looked very, very similar. So if you can tell, I will blow up the screen here, but these look like the mass Chinese camps that they were building several years ago for quarantine. And if you look closely enough, you can see everyone's heads popping out of their doors. There's a person right there. So they are all in these cells. And I remember, again, I couldn't 100% confirm this was actual footage from China or exactly what it was, but I did, look back. This is from the Daily News, and they were talking about China. This was back early 2021, and they talked about these massive quarantine camps that were being created. And if you look at the pictures, this seems very much identical to what you see in this Twitter video. And again, there's things I actually didn't even want to show on this broadcast. In Shanghai, if you have pets, they're taking your pets away from you and pretty much just killing them on the street. And then there's like the street is lined with bags of animals and pets. People are really about to flip. You wonder if this is going to be like another Tiananmen Square type thing where people are just not going to have it anymore. But again, something this seems very much out of nowhere, right? This whole situation has been going on for years. There are cases rising in that region, but it's not really astronomical. And so you really wonder, like, what exactly are they doing? Especially when you're locking down major metropolitan areas of 26 million in Shanghai, 16 million in Guangzhou, millions in Jinlin and other cities. It's absolutely going to wreck their economy. I forget the stat, but billions and billions of dollars are being lost every month. Some people have said maybe this is a type of sanction against the West without actually calling it a sanction. It's starving us of supplies that we import from China, possibly. It's definitely going to hurt the supply chains, but you wonder what it's doing to their own economy and their own people. There's another theory as well, and that is, is there a real, like, very, very serious pandemic on the way? And if you recall, I don't have this video pulled up, but I did talk about it. I think it was maybe about a year ago. But it was when Bill and Melinda Gates were talking about no one's really taking this situation seriously, but the next one they will. And they were both smirking and smiling as they said that. And so I've always, and I've said this multiple times on this channel, based on that video, as well as some other things, I've always been really concerned because the whole world is in this mentality that, everything's fake. This whole thing was meant to control the people. Those who are more balanced know that, this was a legitimate disease. I know people personally that have succumbed to it. Again, I know it's not as bad as they said it was going to be, but again, it was a real disease and it was affecting people worse than the flu in some cases. But again, it was way overdone. It was way embellished. And so once people really started to see the data and started to say, hey, this really doesn't add up with the lockdowns and everything you're trying to tell us, people started to get really laxed. People started to mock it. Anyone that was talking about the severity of the disease or being careful, it was just met with mocking. People weren't like, okay, I get it. I don't really think it's as bad as you say it's going to be, but I'll be careful. I won't do anything extreme. No, it turned into mocking, a complete 180-degree response. And my fear has been that when you get people to this state where they don't believe anything, and they even mock the thought of another pandemic, or they mock the thought of the current pandemic, if something real, like legitimate, happens, and you start having news reports of something serious going down, are people going to take it seriously? Probably not. Probably not until it actually shows up. And so one of the theories, again, looking back at that Bill and Melinda Gates video, that if you believe that the elites want to depopulate, why would they use a fake virus? It makes no sense. If they truly have a desire to depopulate, and that's maybe what that Bill and Melinda interview was alluding to, would they eventually release something that was very, very significant? I think there's always that possibility. Again, God is always sovereign, and if something like that is allowed to proceed, again, I think is a form of judgment upon the nations for not repenting and in fact, engaging in mocking. But here's something that I wanted to highlight. But this other theory, and it's not from Ice Age Farmer. I think it was actually from another channel I follow called Canadian Prepper. He's been wondering, all these really draconian moves by the Chinese. His thought was that, what if they're actually preparing? What if they know that something bad is coming? They don't know exactly when it's coming, but that's the reason why they're being so incredibly stringent. Again, because it just doesn't make sense that they want to control their people more, right? They're already a communist nation. They already have the entire populace under their control. They've got this social credit score. They've got cameras everywhere. They can block people out of society as they will. I mean, they've pretty much got things already under lockdown. It doesn't make sense why they would go to the extremes of locking everything down and starving people out and doing all these things just for more control. You could argue that they're trying to depopulate as well. But again, his theory is that, again, something's coming and they're being extremely, extremely over vigilant and locking everything down in preparation for this. And so I thought it was interesting. There was this clip, which I guess this was pretty recent. So from March 30th, 2022, that Ice Age Farmer just shared a couple hours ago. And it was the former CDC director, Robert Redfield, talking about the next pandemic, which is going to be much worse, and it's going to come from bird flu, which, as you know, we've been talking about, that this current bird flu that's sweeping the United States and the world has been the worst one, I think, since 2015. So, I mean, that's not that far away, but again, it's just getting started. So I just wanted to play this short clip from Robert Redfield, so you can listen to, maybe the foreshadowing that he's talking about here.
I've always said that I think the COVID pandemic was a wake-up call. I don't believe it's the great pandemic. I believe the great pandemic is still in the future, and that's going to be a bird flu pandemic for man. It's going to have significant mortality in the 10 to 50% range. It's going to be trouble, and we should get prepared for it. I do believe that the pandemic risk is a greater risk of the national security of the United States than Korea, China, Russia, Iran. And we ought to start investing proportional to that national security risk so we're prepared.
Wow. So
and I might as well just pull it up because this was his second to last video. I think he has the clip from Bill and Melinda Gates in here. Let's see where. Yep, yeah, here it is.
Sage Farmer broadcast.
So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
So that was the infamous clip. I forget when that was. Let's see here. October 17th, 2020. So quite a while ago. And a lot of people have been wondering, are they really going to release something? Once everyone is in complete disbelief of any pandemic narrative and don't trust anything, is that the time that they would roll something out? And coming on the heels of this Robert Redfield clip just from this past March, who knows? Who knows? That's why I tell this video. Something big is happening down China, especially with them rolling out the PLA and them going through these extreme measures of locking down cities. It doesn't seem like there's some journalists who are able to get some tweets out that are actually in some of these lockdown camps. And, they say a lot of people are fine. So it doesn't seem like there's anything extremely deadly there yet. But again, their response seems just way out of proportion. And even for, their current status quo as a communist country trying to control their people. Again, you can't, and if you say that they have a depopulation agenda, trying to do it this way, that's not an effective means, because again, the people are going to revolt. There's going to be rebellion, and as I've said in multiple videos, I do believe spiritually that's the whole purpose of these things, is that Satan is really trying to emotionally stir up all people across the world to embrace humanity, to embrace freedom, and to tear down world governments. This whole phoenix rising out of the ashes, a Luciferian agenda, where essentially you collapse the old, and that makes way for something new. In the New Age, it's something that they say is like the age of Aquarius, the coming fifth dimension, that everything needs to burn in order to make way for that new thing. And, I think that is when Antichrist comes in as some type of savior to present this type of new world utopia and get away from the enslavement that the controllers of this world have put you under. Again, very similar trick that what the devil did in the Garden of Eden, where Luciferians believe that God pretty much enslaved Adam and Eve in this tiny little box of Eden, and Luciferianists believe that he was the one that set them free with knowledge. Again, they still believe that today, and they believe that the world governments are controlling people and they're evil. They believe that religions are controlling people and evil, and their whole agenda is to destroy these things, and again, to bring in, they say, the quote-unquote true light of Lucifer. I think that's a quote from Alice Bailey or one of the other very popular Luciferians. And that seems to be the case. Again, all over the world, people are engaging in this absolute hatred of government and are ready to outright rebel. And we're seeing this in China now. So, I'm going to keep an eye on this. No one really knows what's going on, how many more cities are going to get locked down. But again, something big is happening, and I will keep tabs on it and update you guys as I see things. So, I hope you all are having a good weekend. And until the next broadcast, this is Mike with On Point Preparedness. See you guys later.